Hello there, how's it going? It's me, Teacher Mike from Phuket PALS, and in today's video we're going to be focusing in again on the GED Social Studies test, in particular the US history section of that, because many people have been asking me about the history section and ways to approach studying for that. So this video will help you out if you're interested. Now, we have started a Patreon page for Phuket PALS. This means if you would like to contribute, the price of less than a cup of coffee per month, a few US dollars per month, yeah, you will obviously get all the free access to our YouTube channel, over 250 videos, and also you'll get access to four extra videos as a patron per month. So if you want to help us expand our reach, helping more people out in the USA, in Thailand, in Bangladesh, and in Nepal, to name a few, with GED, please contribute. If you can afford it, that's cool. If you can't afford it, well, it's all for free anyway. Now, one of the number one things I've heard over the years, in the last 10 or 11 years, teaching GED, is that I can't remember all this history. Students panic. They freak out. They think to themselves, look at this, it goes from Columbus up until the present day. How can I possibly remember all of the names, all of these dates and everything else? Well, the good news is that you actually don't have to, okay? This is not a test of memorization, okay? Let me repeat, it's not a test of memorization. So get that out of your head. Forget about that. That bit's gone, it's good. Don't panic, okay? However, the more you know about each of the subject areas for the GED Social Studies test, and in particular the history, because that's what we're talking about today, the better. The more you know about each subject area, the better score you will get. So you have to study smart, okay? You have to know how to approach studying for this test, and that's what I'm going to show you in a minute. Now, you can look at our YouTube channel. We have over 250 videos. On there, you'll find pretty much a video on each of the historical periods that I'm going to show you. Also, I advise you to use websites like history.com. History.com is great. You can go on there, you can type in a historical event like something like westward expansion, and you'll find an article on history.com about that. And then you can read the article, and then you can really think about this topic and get to grips with the information that's there. Also, you can use test preparation books like the McGraw-Hill or the Kaplan book. Maybe you have these books already. I recommend these two, mainly because I use both of these and I think they're quite useful for GED preparation. And also they are what's called GED aligned, which means GED Testing Service have actually stamped them. They've approved them to say that they meet the standards required for the GED test. So look out for the little logo. When you buy a GED preparation book, look out for a little circle logo on the front that says GED aligned. You'll definitely find that on the McGraw-Hill and the Kaplan. If a preparation book does not, it's not GED aligned, I wouldn't go near it. Don't use it. Okay? So I'm going to show you a list here of the most common topics that come up in the GED history test. And just for your information, this is not an exhaustive list. I'm not saying these are the only areas that can come up. What I am saying is these areas come up the most common. Okay, so it's good to focus on these areas and maximize your study time. Other topics may come up though. Okay. Here they are, the big topics in GED US history. 1, exploration and colonization. 2, westward expansion. 3, the American Revolutionary War. 4, the American Civil War. 5, industrialization. 6, the Great Depression. 7, World War I and World War II. 8, the Civil Rights Movement. And 9, the Cold War. Okay, so they are the 9 most common areas that you need to focus on. So the question is, now you know that, how do you prep for each of these areas? Knowing that it's not a test of memorization, what can you do to prep? Well, this is what I advise you to do. This is what I advise all my students. I advise you to focus on WH questions. Now, whether you're watching a YouTube video about westward expansion or whether you're reading an article in history.com, in your notebook or on your Google Doc or on your Word document, wherever you take your notes, you should have a title like westward expansion. And then you should aim to answer WH questions based on that particular period in history. So, who was involved in the westward expansion? Why were they moving west? What was their purpose? What actually happened? When did it happen? And where did it happen? Okay, so obviously you can fill in a small amount of detail for each of these areas, or a large amount of detail, depending on how much reading or YouTube video watching you actually do. But again, as I said earlier, the more you do, the better you will do in this test. So just keep that in mind. The more good input that you have, the more good output that you will produce. So do more. That's my advice, okay? Get history.com read, YouTube videos watched, and various other history sources online as well. And fill up as much information under each of these words as you can. But again, don't worry about remembering everything. You just need a general overview of the period, okay? And when you do the test questions themselves later on, you will have to apply this knowledge that you have to the question itself. So the question will not say, who were the people involved in the westward expansion? It will not say, what years did the westward expansion happen? It won't say that. But it may give you a paragraph, a primary source from that historical period about the westward expansion. It may give you a graph as well. And then you have to work out the answer to a given question based on the source, the reading passage, and the graph. And when you have that overview of the historical period, which you'll get if you answer these questions and do the work at home, it makes answering it much more easy because you have context. Okay, context is extremely important in the GED test. So read, watch, make notes, and get that context, and you'll answer the question that much easier. Now, another thing I advise is for each of the wars that are mentioned in the GED test, things like the US Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War I and World War II, and the Cold War, you should, again, have this approach helps and has helped many of my students. You think to yourself, who was fighting the war? When was the war fought? What caused the war to happen? Who won the war? And what were some of the lasting effects of this war? Okay, so you can see here what caused the war to happen. So what were the causal factors that contributed to this conflict occurring? Also, what were the effects of this war? What were the knock-on effects in the future of this war? So you can see cause and effect. You can actually do this for any of the historical topics, okay? You might want to add that into your notes. So what caused this historical event to happen? And what were the lasting effects of this historical event? You need this information. This information will help you with many of the questions on the GED social studies test. So think of the Cold War. What caused the Cold War to happen? And what were the effects, the lasting effects of the Cold War? Okay, so that is my tips for you. Again, if you find these tips useful, or if you find our YouTube channel useful, if you want to become a patron, give us the price of a cup of coffee, less than a cup of coffee, once a month for all of our hard work. It would be massively appreciated, and you're going to help not only lots more students in the US, Thailand, Bangladesh, Nepal, and all over the world. It means we can put a little bit more effort into making our videos and keep this constant flow that you seem to be enjoying out there. Okay, so that's it from me, Teacher Mike. I hope you found this video useful. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye-bye.